Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I don't speak, once a year I'll go speak to a college class. I'm doing a USC thing here in February, and I do high school things. I'll speak maybe 3 times a year. And, one of the things I always say, it's kind of the same speech over and over, right? And one of the things I always tell young people, I may have told you, don't chase money. There's a sea of it if you're talented. Chase good management, because there's not a sea.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah. And I said to J-Mac the other day, is the cowboy job a good job? So you have an owner who does radio hits and post-game comments. You have to answer to constantly. He thinks he's a de facto GM. His son is the GM. He also thinks Dak is great and should be paid in an elite class. So the starting point of the job, forget everything else. Meddling owner. And as you've noted, there's only one way not to win a Super Bowl. Average quarterback paid like a great one. You can go cheap quarterback, superstar wealthy one. And my takeaway is, I don't think the Cowboys is a great job. I think the perception right now, the Lakers, it's not a great job. LeBron's run through like 8 coaches. Anthony Davis is inconsistent offensively. So at the end of games, it's always LeBron in his 21st year. It's a mom and pop operation. The Lakers have one of the poorest ownership groups in the league. Steve Ballmer is worth more than 28 of the NBA owners. He could buy and sell the Buss family 35 times over. The Lakers is viewed as a great job. They have no young stars. The Cowboys is viewed as a good job. And it goes back to, is that good management? Is that a good job?
So I think it is not a great job, but a good job for a few years. If I were Mike Vrabel or Jim Harbaugh, I wouldn't want it. If I were Belichick, and I'm like, I'm really only trying to do this for 3 or 4 more years, I would strongly consider it. Because if we are all in right now, you can mitigate some of the cap stuff with Dak by doing what the Saints did at the end with Breeze, which is like, we will deal with that in 2027. We're doing we're pushing it all down the road. And you do have, listen, I think CeeDee Lamb is great. I think Micah Parsons is great. I think Diggs is very good and coming back from an injury. I think you do have, some good pieces. So I don't think it's a great job, but I don't think great jobs are open. And if people are talking about Belichick going to Atlanta, that's a project. You know what I mean? That is, it might have better, you might have more autonomy, all these things, but as he knows, if you don't have the base level quarterback, you're DOA, from the beginning. So if I'm Bill and it's short term, I don't think Dallas is a bad job. If I'm someone who's like, I want a job for 10 years, I don't think it'd be the right move. But I look around and I say, what job that could be open or is open is better than that one? I mean, if we're Bill, I'm sure, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but if I were Bill, I would have been rooting like hell for the Steelers last night, because the Bills would be a great job. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you go coach Josh Allen, their cap's not a mess. You have some talent. Like, there are some better parts there, but that job's not coming open. I think Philly is about to feel some pain now. Jason Kelce leaving, whatever the hell is going on. I've never seen a team treat the first quarter of a playoff game like game 17 for a 4-win team. They were like, we don't want to be here. So, that's and that job's not open yet, obviously. But I don't know. Like, if you were advising Belichick of any of the jobs open or jobs that could be open, where would you tell him to go?
I would say, listen, Bill, you've shown an ability to win rings with an elite quarterback and no ability to win with an average quarterback. One job has a really talented quarterback.
Chargers?
That's the Chargers. Jalen Hurts is good. Maybe a bit overstated due to the Shiken Shane Steichen, Lincoln Riley connection. That would be second. But there is no disputing Bill has shown no proclivity, no ability to draft and develop well or win without a quarterback. So there's no reason to believe he can address that if you don't have it. So
right. That's why I wouldn't go to Atlanta.
No,
that's
right.
why I think the Atlanta thing's crazy. Or people have talked about Washington. Now, I understand Washington is the number 2 pick, but that player's got to get developed. Like, that's why. Now, the other thing is this that I find interesting, and people think it's unfair, but I don't think it's unfair. And maybe Bill wouldn't do this. This is really just a thought exercise, which is you look around the league, and I I'm wondering what teams would fire their coach if Bill called him and said, that's the job I want to go to your team. I know you have so that, right now, technically Philly has a coach. I don't know if they will much longer. I certainly, if I were Jeffrey Lurie and I knew Belichick will take this job, I will fire Nick Sirianni. But that's almost too easy because he's on the hot seat either way.
Not as many as you think, because I have believed this for a long time. Less than half of the owners want to win first. Less than half. It may be less than a third. What they want is profits and control. The Spanos families had opportunities, including this year, to secede some control to Jim Harbaugh. He's the best candidate easily. Yeah. It's not, I'm told in the building, unanimous. So, in the league, top 10 quarterback, elite coach, you get to conference championships. You've got one, the other wants the job.
Yes.
So the only reason not to choose that would be profits and control. Belichick will force you and Harbaugh to have less control. And these owners, that is number one. Billionaires control people, their families, their businesses, their employees. They don't like loss of control. It's like Wall Street. Wall Street is not just about earnings. Wall Street is about the unknown. It plummets on unknowns. Often a company will come out and say, we are chopping 10,000 jobs. The stock goes up. Sure. Okay? They're going to have a tighter, right. That's bad news. No, it's great news. It's known. Owners do not relinquish power. There's only a handful that would go, okay, I'll relinquish power. Jerry won't. Jerry had Jimmy and Bill. He let them both run.
So this is on your TV show today. I made up a fake trade essentially. I'm now doing the coaching version of it, which is there's 2 AFC jobs that came to mind that I think are intriguing. If Bill Belichick's agent called up the owner of the Bengals and said, Bill, would take that job if it were offered to him. Would you, if you were the owner of the Bengals, fire Zach Taylor to hire Bill Belichick?
No.
All right. Second one. Bill Belichick's agent calls up Shad Khan. Says, Bill Belichick would like to coach Trevor Lawrence. Would you fire Doug Peterson to hire Bill Belichick?
I'd think about that one because I thought this year
was weird.
I can't figure out why you get bad and it's not personnel. I think I'd probably make the move there. It was a weird year for that talented team.
And listen, the easy answer is Trevor got hurt, but you still shouldn't go from 8-3 to out of the playoffs entirely. So I'm not like advocating Belichick go that would be a good revenge for that Eagles Super Bowl. Like, hey, Dougie, guess what? I'm sniping your job. But yeah, if I were Bill, my jobs list would be I would go down. I would make my own list of who are the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'd be like, okay, Mahomes won. Well, that job's they're not firing Andy Reid. That's not available. And go down and then see, obviously the open one is Justin Herbert, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So then I would try to find a spot where and I don't think it's a weird thing because nobody thinks this is like unfair with players. So, like, if you have a good NBA player who's been you have no reason to trade or whatever, and then a star is like, I want to go to that team, then that guy gets traded. And nobody's like, oh, that's unfair. Maybe it's because it's firing, but I wouldn't think it was outrageous for a coach who had no reason to fire their own coach, fire their coach because Bill Belichick became available and they thought they were better. Like, I think that happens in life. It's like your job was safe, but this supernova talent came into the world or into our orbit, and so your job is no longer safe.
Listen, we know Jimmy Sexton controls college football.
Yeah.
The overwhelming number of fans have no idea. So I'll give you an example. So Kalen DeBoer got hired from Washington.
And you
Alabama.
somehow knew Jed Fish was going to get the job.
Well, I knew Jed Fish was getting Washington. In fact,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew Saturday night, but to protect Jed, because it wasn't finalized, and protect my source, I couldn't report it. So I'd rather have Bruce Feldman and those guys. I don't make my money on breaking college football.
Reporting. Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer, I've known Jed for a while. I'm not going to screw up his contract. And, had he told Arizona.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
So Kalen DeBoer, I was told, basically said, okay, Jimmy Sexton, I'll let you be my agent, but I want the Bama job. And Jimmy Sexton's like, I'll get you in the top two. And so he knew Kalen DeBoer was going to be. So Kalen DeBoer, I knew on Wednesday, was going to be a top two candidate. He didn't guarantee him the job, but in order to rep him, he was going to get him. And Sark, Alabama knew, Greg Byrne knew that Sark wasn't going to take the job. Sark his wife loves Austin. They weren't leaving. They called Sark as almost a perfunctory, professional thank you for what you've given us.
Yeah, and get him a raise at Texas. That Alabama job coming open was great for a lot of people's economies. Everybody was out here getting raises.
Right. So it was one of these sort of, we're going to call Sark, but it wasn't. He was never, ever, they never thought they were going to get Sark. So, it was a prime example of, so to your point, is that Jimmy Sexton is operating on multiple levels. He is promising interviews and opportunities. He didn't say, Kalen, you're going to get the Bama job. He goes, I'm going to get you in the running for it. And so this idea that he was the fourth guy, no. Kalen DeBoer signed with Jimmy. I want to be in the running for that. And so the idea that agents don't do that, I've had an agent forever. You have. We're talking 18 months out. So this kind of stuff, Belichick's agent is calling and doing that.
Calling and seeing what jobs would come open if you knew he wanted the job.
Yeah, I mean, Brady did the same. Brady picked his team. Bill probably has 3 teams he's interested in.
So, yeah, and by the way, maybe he'll go to Atlanta and it'll be weird. Maybe that'll happen. I thought it was really odd. Atlanta tweeting out, we've just finished our interview with Bill Belichick. Yeah. I don't know Bill Belichick, but that seems like the type of thing that would make him not want to coach your team.
Yeah, I almost wondered if Bill's agent asked for that. I'm not saying it.
Oh.
Hey, could you make sure Bill wants it out there that people are interested? Right.
Sure, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because if he did, I would almost, because what I thought was that it was a stress test for the organization. Like, I'll go meet with you guys because maybe I am interested and I want to see if it leaks. And you know what I mean? And then saw that it was everywhere. What you're saying actually makes probably more sense.
Bill wants to be viewed as viable. When you get to be 70, Pete Carroll, when he stepped to the podium, losing the Seattle job, he was like, my energy's great. He was talking to every other GM in the league, every other owner. Hey, it's not my energy. I'm going 1,000 miles. He started talking really fast. He was selling himself. Bill wants it to be known, I'm interested, and teams are interested in me. And his agent wants that out there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So if you had to bet right now, where would you say, and maybe you don't want to say, but where do you think he goes?
I think Philadelphia and Washington. He's got multiple homes in Nantucket. He's got a big spread. So he wants to be a private jet flight there. He doesn't. Bill's not going to go. He's going to do Washington or Philadelphia. He's not going west. It just doesn't. He doesn't have any connections there. And, by the way, if he brings Josh McDaniels, Northeast, Josh has had no success out west, Vegas, Denver. He's going to come back east.
I
put his
think
kids in
Philadelphia
school.
is the answer.
Yeah.
I think Philadelphia is the answer. You stay in the Northeast, you stay in a prime media market, you have a talented roster. Listen, I think the talent on the roster is a little overrated, but what's not overrated is the D-line talent. So, Belichick can coach up the secondary. He can create a secondary if there's anything out of thin air. And even if Jalen is, a flawed quarterback, he's the best quarterback that Belichick's had in a half decade. You know what I mean? Like, you go from Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi to Jalen Hurts, you feel like you're playing a different fucking sport. So there's real value there.